Hello everybody, welcome to this week's video. Today we're looking at the Acura MDX Type S. This is Acura's biggest SUV. It's not actually a full-size, of course, it's a mid-size. The thing that strikes me about this car, right when I went to go pick it up, I went, holy crap, is it ever pretty? Let's make sure I don't get run over on the road here. It is absolutely stunning, I've got to be honest. I love the way the RDX looks, and this obviously carries some of that design language. And it's absolutely beautiful. This is the Type S top shelf trim, and it sort of comes with all the bells and whistles. Lots of Type S badges, of course, and the big difference, of course, being that you get a different engine, the performance engine, if you will. And it is pretty performy. It's not bad at all. You get really nice headlights. The whole front end is it's really quite nice looking. Actually, this Acura badge is enormous. It is as big as you think it is. And just the overall look, I like how relatively low profile everything is, etc. It's just a really, really good looking car. Nice dimensions and proportions. Let's pop open the hatch and have a look. Of course, the hatch is powered, isn't it? Right? I do want to touch on the third row. It's pretty important because it is, of course, tiny. It holds my bag in that orientation. Of course, the requisite snow brush. And that's about it. Reminds me very much of the Dodge Durango, the SRT 392. Just like really, really, well, Durango in general, I suppose. Excuse the road noise. That's what happens when you do this stuff guerrilla style. Yeah, really, really small cargo area here in the third row. You can fold these seats down with relative ease, and you get a much more manageable situation, which is nice. They're not powered. Let's not get cuckoo bananas here, but you do get, if you squeeze yourself in the third row, you get cup holders and you get power, which is also very nice on both sides, etc. So that's cool. And these seats are actually pretty easy to get up as well when you're done. So yeah, not a lot of cargo space, but more is at hand with ease, because this has a low floor, which makes it easy to work with. Some other vehicles, it's just a tougher go. But I wanted to highlight that because that, yeah, it's small. It's small. Not ready for the Costco shop. The second row. Whew, excuse me. You hop in the back. You do have a decent amount of space back here. Good headroom, etc. Lots of space in front. You get HVAC, you get power, you get anything you need, any kind of power, etc. It's pretty good. Shiny black here, which is disgusting and gross. Center console, of course, excuse my old man gloves, with cup holders, etc. You can, of course, fold it up. Can't remember how to do that at the moment, but you can fold it up and you get another seat. You get to see this wonderful panoramic roof. This is standard across the range. You do not have to get the Type S for this. And I think it's great. It's really pretty, actually. Opens up front, fixed in the back, of course, as is the usual. And you get the little, I don't know if it's a strengthening bar or whatever. I think that makes it a little cheaper to produce and probably makes it a little stronger. I've often wondered about these panoramic roofs because they're quite expensive to replace. And I've come across instances twice in the last couple of months where they've had to be replaced, and they are ungodly expensive. So what do you think? Is it worth it? Put all that, I don't know. I mean, I know it's insurance, but we all end up paying for it in the end, don't we? Okay. Oh, I can't forget the window shades. My God. How could we forget those? So they go in there and they clip in. Yeah, it's a window shade. I know. My time with my Toyota Sienna taught me actually how useful those can be. All right, front seats. It's go time. Whew. Excuse me. Thank you. All right. One thing I wanted to really touch on was, maybe I can do it better on this side, is this wood trim. It's actually real wood. You see a lot of this from quite a few manufacturers now. And it's lovely, actually. It's, I grew up in the 90s, right? That was all shiny plastic nonsense. This is really nice. Very classy, actually. You get a ton of piano black in here. It's all kind of along this center band, if that makes any sense. Actually, you sort of just noticed that. But It is everywhere, and it is very shiny, it is very dirty, and very dusty. They have not, wisely though, they have chosen not to put it here in the high traffic area, which is wise, because it does scratch, doesn't it? So, yeah, it's there. I mean, it looks good as long as it's clean, and it doesn't get all scratched up. So they've kept it out of the major traffic areas, which is good, not bad. You get lovely leather seats. This is real leather from what I can tell. They're still killing cows to put these things, to give us seats in the MDX, which is great. I love that. And let's fire it up. So start button. There we go. We got a fully digital dash cluster. You can tinker with the settings a little bit, but for the most part, it is fixed. Where it does change, pardon me, is when you change drive modes. Ooh, that's sport. Look at that. Almost looks like anime, doesn't it? And then you got to hold it and go to Sport Plus. More anime. And then you get a slightly different dial. What you do get, hilariously, in this car is a boost gauge. It's a boost gauge, and then a G meter, which my son and I have spent the week trying to send off in any direction as wildly as we could. We were not very successful, but yeah, it is amusing to both. It was amusing to both of us that those are there. So yes, all right. So I'll put my seatbelt on, and then you get, this is a 12-inch, 12.3 infotainment system. I will say it is a lovely thing to look at. Oftentimes, the Honda Toyota product, until very recently, they sort of skimp, if you will, on the infotainment, but they haven't done that here. It's high fidelity, like HD, high fidelity, high HD, looks good. Very crucially, look at that backup camera, or the cameras in general, 360 and then backup. God, they're crystal clear. I knew Honda had good cameras in their lineup somewhere. I knew it. And now I've been proven right. They're very, very clear. They get a little fuzzy in the wet, of course, etc., as usual. But yeah, they are really nice, because man, Honda and Toyota, did they ever put some bad cameras in their cars. Down here in the most interesting part of this sort of usual cluster are the push buttons. Kind of a strange arrangement for them here. A week in and I'm still adjusting. I remember the RDX was the same way. And then you get, this is your USB ports. My son and I were like, how many times can we do this before it breaks? But we've been doing it all week and it's still working just fine. Japanese quality, eh? That is what it is. And then this is your dynamic mode control. So or currently in Sport Plus, shift it the other way, you go Sport, you can do normal, comfort, which is very wallowy. I've spent most of my time in normal. And then you can also do snow. You can lift the car, because this thing has air suspension, which I don't know how much I'd use it in the real world, but it's a neat toy to have. When you switch into Sport, and especially Sport Plus, it drops the car a little bit and sort of tightens up the suspension, which is nice. We'll test that when we're on the road. And that's the MDX interior. It is smaller in here than I thought it would be. I've not been in an MDX for a long time. I'm not sure if the beautiful shape of this car leads to some sacrifices in terms of interior space. It's a sacrifice I'd be willing to make if I was in the market for a car like this, because this thing is fabulous to look at. It really is. I decided right now I am going to talk about that. It was in the RDX. It's a touchpad. Why is it there? I don't know. It just is. This is a really, yeah. I don't like these touchpads. They're sort of hard to work with. They do work technically. In the native system, they're much better than they are in CarPlay or Android Auto. They're almost useless in a CarPlay or Android Auto situation. In the native system, it works a bit better, but this is it's just stupid. I don't understand. The screen is not touch so far as I could make it work. I've tried every different iteration and I can't, so it's not a touch screen. And it's not technically close enough, but you could stretch just to sort of shortcut all the nonsense. Yeah, this is just silly. I don't understand why this is here. It doesn't make any sense. You do get a nice, conveniently located power and volume button for the stereo, which is nice, and track selection, which is cool. That's very good. And you get an old change slot here where you can put money so that homeless people can see it, and then break your window for 45 cents. Standard cup holders. You get wireless charging in the center console. and it's obscured by this handhold thing. Am I missing the point here? Maybe my wife was like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's very strange. It's very solid, though. I will give it that. This whole car is very solid. It's extremely well made. I do like the build quality of this car. It's fantabulous. Let's drive, shall we? Let's go. So we'll put it in drive, and then you can hit the button again, and you go S for sport, maybe? I don't know. Pop the e-brake off. And just put it back in drive. So the 2024 MDX comes standard with Honda's, I guess you'd call it ubiquitous 3-liter V6. You get just under 300 horsepower, about 275 pound-feet of torque. If you want the 3-liter V6 in this car, you need to go Type S, and that boosts the power up to 355 and the torque to just a little bit less than that. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. And it's a pretty good driving experience, to be honest. You know, these are properly sized cars, aren't they? And they're SUVs. They're not designed for performance. But it drives really well. I've covered just over, about 350K in this thing, and I have no real complaints about the drive, you know, how it feels, etc. Is it sporty? Well, you know, not in comfort or normal mode. But if we shift it to sport, it tightens up. It also starts to make more noise. It really tinkers with the transmission. It's a 10-speed auto in this thing, and you really sort of start to feel it pull a little harder when you go into sport. And if you turn and hold and go into Sport Plus, you can even, the revs go out, like everything is much more aggressive. And yeah, it goes. I mean, it goes quite well. Makes a nice noise. It's much quieter in other drive modes. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you spend too much time in Sport Plus, it will chew through the fuel. It chews through the fuel anyway. This is a thirsty beast. I want to make that perfectly clear, but it is fun to drive. The air suspension drops it a little bit. Everything tightens up a touch when you're in Sport Plus. And if you're looking for the best, most dynamic driving experience, that's the mode to be in. It can be a little jerky. It really messes with the first and second gear. It becomes a little halting, you know, because it's sporty. But otherwise, yeah, it is the funnest way to drive this car. And it does go really well, actually, for, you know, a vehicle this size. Is a proper mid-size car. Prices, let's talk prices, shall we? So the MDX starts at around $65,000 Canadian. This Type S trim, which is of course top shelf, tops out at $85,000, which is a lot of money. No arguing that. If you're not interested in this engine and all the Type SE stuff, then $70K will get you a pretty well appointed MDX. All of them are third row. All of them have the panel roof. They have fairly similar interiors. So yeah, you have a distinct choice in which MDX you buy, based on what sort of driver you are. If you're like me, yeah, you might go Type S because, you know, you like to put your foot into it from time to time. If you're like my wife, you'll never appreciate it anyway, so why not just buy the cheaper one? I touched on build quality. This feels like a very, very solid car. It is extremely well made, from what I can tell. It has very few rattles. That rattle that you just heard is my coffee cup in the back. It's not the car. Yeah, it's very comfortable to drive around it. In this Type S trim, you get massaging seats, of course, which my kids have been abusing all week long, and they absolutely love it. And it's a great vehicle to put miles down in. I will say the MDX does feel a bit too small to be considered a proper 7-seater. You know, you can squeeze people into the third row. It's fine. I mean, it's for kids, of course, and access is actually okay. You hit the button, the second row slides forward, but it is small. Even the second row has sufficient space for adults. Fair enough, but it's not cavernous. You know, and I think part of that is the simple fact that you sacrifice a lot to squeeze in that third row, because I don't think this thing's actually that much bigger than, say, like a CRV. You know, you might get a little bit more space, but not as much as you might imagine, given that you're squeezing a third row in. So, you know, it is what it is. They've obviously taken from the cargo area, which makes total sense. Yeah, so in the world of 7-seaters, mid-size 7-seaters, there are many choices, and you should cruise around and have a look at all of them. You know, your competitors are, what are your competitors? The Lincoln Aviator. You could do the Genesis GV80, although that tends to get a little bit more expensive, depending on how you spec it. Volvo XC90, great choice, also a bit pricier. You could do the Infiniti QX60, which is less expensive overall, but nowhere near as nice. It's a good car, nothing wrong with it. I just don't think it really stacks up to this, especially with this power plant, this trim. It's yeah, it's not even the, what is it, the autobiography trim, not the same thing. But yeah, no, the MDX is very cool. What you will, I think what you're buying with this car, if I'm honest, is the looks. You know, whether you go performance or not, that's up to you. But when you buy an MDX, you're buying something that's absolutely beautiful. This car is stunning to look at. It's very, very good looking. And I think that's important, to be honest. You know, let's be honest. I mean, we're human beings, right? You know, we like pretty things. And the MDX is definitely that. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you all at the next one, and have a very, very good day. And hopefully it's not raining and bitterly cold where you are. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.